Under this video, we'll need to connect the front-end side of our contact form with the backend side that we just created under the previous video. So we need to navigate to our Visual Studio Code and open a new terminal. And over here we need to generate a new service. So ng generate service services / contact. So this contact service will be set under the services folder. So over here. And under this contact service.ts file, we need to set in place the business logic to interact with the backend Spring Boot server. So let's set in place a new method called sendEmail that will receive a contact form DTO of type any and will return an observable of any. And in order to properly send requests from the front-end app to the backend server, we need to use the HTTP client. So let's go to our app module TS and import the HTTP client module under the imports array. Since using this HTTP client module, we will be able to send and receive JSON request and response between our client and the server, the client being our front-end app and the server being our Spring Boot server. So let's import this HTTP client module from the Angular common HTTP. Now back to the contact service TS. We have an issue over there on the constructor. And since this is not fixed, let's just go and import the HTTP client from the @Angular common HTTP specific package, and the constructor issue has been fixed. Now inside the sendEmail method, let's invoke this HTTP post and let's use the HTTP localhost 8080 for our backend server, API contact and email address. And we will also send the contact form DTO in this post request. So you see the contact form DTO is required. Now we need to actually invoke this method from the contact component. So we navigated to the contact component TS and let's define a new method. Let's call it sendEmail of type void. And inside this method, we'll need to compute basically the contact form DTO. So this will be an object and the name will be this contact form model name dot value. So we will extract the value corresponding to the contact form model name field. Similar for the email. Same thing for the message, but of course using the contact form model message value. And for the subject, this contact form model subject value. So we have the contact form DTO in place. We need to pass it to the contact service TS file. But of course the first thing to do is to import the contact service. So under this constructor we'll define the private contact service of type contact service. So we are injecting the contact service here to properly use the send email method. And let's also import the contact service. So import contact service from source app services contact.service. So the service has been injected under the contact TypeScript file. And now let's execute the request. So this dot contact service dot send email, and we'll pass the previously created contact form DTO and invoke the subscribe method using the data. So the success event will be handled later, and let's handle the case where we encounter an error. Let's do a console log here with error and JSON stringify for the entire error. And in order to properly expose an informative message to the user, let's define an info message variable of type string. And over here, let's set the info message with something descriptive, maybe something like email sent with success. And on the error side, this info message equals error sending email. And of course, we need to expose this info message somehow in the HTML form. So let's scroll a bit up to define a block for the info message statement. So over here, just after the modal body, let's define a div statement. So div class row alert, alert primary, the role will be alert, and this statement will only be shown if we have something under the info message string. So we use the ngIf statement. Inside this div element, we will define another div and expose the info message. So far so good. So we are using this send email method to basically send an email from the front-end app to the back-end app. But we'll also need a place to actually invoke this send email, and what a better place but this button click event, so send email. And now I think we're ready for a quick demo to see how this works. So of course you need to save the HTML and also the TypeScript file, and let's add a simple demo here. john@gmail.com, a subject and a message, and let's click on the send to see what's happening. And you see that we encounter an error sending email. So why this might happen? This happens due to the fact that we need to implement a mechanism so that we can communicate from the front end to the backend application and enable this CORS policy. So we will do this under the next video.